that man for only 2 years and 2 months, and he died of a heart. And he said that actually it was, he told me it was not a good risk. Those were wonderful years.
So he died of a heart attack.
Yeah,
Right.
he had surgery and all that beforehand, and he had told me, and I thought, oh, I'd just make him so happy. But
And at that point, you had moved to.
we moved when we got married. We moved to Diamond Bar, and that's in LA County area, and that was nice. So we fixed up that house, and then when he died, I decided to sell the house and move back to Fullerton to a condo that I got. It was very beautiful, and I got the interior decorator and decorated the whole thing. It was just really a beautiful place, and. David would come home from school, and then he was ready to go on. And he took social ecology, which was really not the right thing probably, but in the long run I think it made him more well-rounded, and he ended up going to New York and loved it there. But he was told, he went with the law firm, but it was kind of a family law firm, and he was like a clerk. And the employment office told him, well, probably be a good idea to take some courses or something, and he went and got his computer science from New York University, and then he got a job with Drexel Burnham. But we'll get back to what I was doing.
Right.
So anyway, so after he died, I went on and I dated some, but I never found anybody else, and I guess I must like to be alone, because I think I tend to be a doormat type and pacifist, and so I give in. Otherwise, I feel I can always be myself if I'm not with somebody. I think that's I try to figure it all out. So it's been 22 years that I have been a widow.
Mm-hmm.
But life's been good. I had a lot of fun and enjoyed everything. And my children have been a joy. I'm very proud of them.
So where else did you live after Fullerton?
Oh, after Fullerton. Yeah, I was a mover. I don't know why it made me. My sister used to accuse me of having somebody chasing me all the time. But anyway, I moved to West Covina, in a mobile home way up on top of the hill overlooking the golf course. Beautiful place. And it was closer to work. And so I was still working there, and I worked 6 years after Van died. And then I decided to retire and moved back to the beach, Huntington Beach. And then from Huntington Beach, I bought another condo because I was renting, and I had a trailer. I moved to Huntington Beach, and I was only in there 9 months, had it completely redecorated, and sold it, made a big money on it in the end of '88, August of '88. Moved up to Washington State. A friend of mine lived up there where the nuclear area is, and they had all the houses at this time were really inexpensive, and we got a great big house for like $81,000, and it took my daughter and her 4 kids, and we went up there, and that was
Wasn't it 3 kids at that point?
no, it was 4
already
kids.
4?
Yeah, Curtis was the 5th child.
Right. Okay.
So Curtis.
Right.
Yeah. So after 1 year, she wanted to move back with her and get back with her husband because she was separated at that time. And then they had another baby. And 10 months later, she wanted to move back to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, all the houses were gone. And so I found this one that was a fixer-upper, and thinking her husband was going to come, but he never did. And so she lives up there with her 5 children. Then she got married again. But then I moved. I got another condo there, and I was able to sell the condo.
So in Kennewick, right?
things were up again, and I made money on that and moved down to the leisure world, where I am now, and it's very nice. It's very safe and all of these kind of things. So, but I really have, I think the life with the adversity of the depression and all the hard times and all that, I think that was good. And then the war, I worked, oh, I forgot to tell you what I did in the war effort too. I had, when I first moved there, I had worked in a department store, and I only made $15 a month, and I wanted to make more, so I went to the Douglas Aircraft, and I made.
Wait just a second.
Yeah, I started. So I went out. I wanted to work at the Douglas Aircraft because they made a lot more money, and I wanted to make the money. So I left and moved, and I went out to there, but I was dressed up as a sales lady, dressed in skirt and business outfit. And they said, well, this is a factory, and he says, I think you better go and change into slacks or something, come back. So I did, and then when he was interviewing, I said, I would like something more than just riveting all day. Can you have? He said, well, I got this experimental and development, and you'll be reading some blueprints and all that. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I get to have a toolbox and all of this, and it's very exciting. And I really, and there were 2 lead men left, and these 2 men wanted to get ready to leave to go to the service. And so he wanted me to train to be a lead one. But in the meantime, I had met Bob, and my husband, and and he wanted to get married, and I did. Well, then he didn't want me to work, and so I quit. Of course, I was pregnant, I guess, and didn't know it. But
How did you meet Dad?
oh, I met him at the Majestic Ballroom. It's right down. It was in the Pike in Long Beach, and it was filled with the sailors, the soldiers, and he wasn't in the service. And I kept asking, how come you're not in the service? And he had a license that said he was 21. He said he was had planned to join the Merchant Marine, and that didn't work out. But anyway, so we got married, and everything was such short lengths of time, like 3 months here doing that. But working in that factory was very interesting, and I was kind of a naive, kind of a sweet type, and innocent type, and they respected me, these 2 men, and because there were really some tough women there, and they told dirty jokes, and I just walked away, things like that. But they were disappointed that I wouldn't take that on, because a lot of the women were not the type to study the blueprint. Well, it was interesting. I was making screens, air filter screens for the B-17. And that is the one that my husband eventually then flew. He was the captain of that B-17. And he was 20 by then when he got his. And to think that this great big expensive plane was given, he was in charge with 9 other fellows. But that was, America was just fabulous. They just buckled down and they did these Liberty ships. Well, my husband was a draftsman at the time at Douglas, but he wasn't making as much, and he heard about going out to the shipyards. So he went to the shipyards, and then he decided, he told me he had 5 years experience painting. Well, of course, they found out very quickly that he didn't, and they would put him up in the painting way high or way down low, and mostly the rust protection kinds of jobs. And then he said, oh, I'm going to go work at another one, because we had no money, and he was going to be drafted. So he was...
Hold on just a second.
It was interesting that then later, when he was in the service, that he flew this B-17 that I had part of doing. But Now, I was talking about how wonderful America was and how they pitched in. This was a very exciting war type thing after that Pearl Harbor and all the things, and a lot of terrible things too. The internment of the Japanese and all that was bad, but we were on rations. That was hard, and you know, sometimes you have to stand in line trying to get some meat and things of that nature. It was very hard. And when we lived in Chicago and had to do that, I would have Jody in the buggy and Terry, and I would take him in with me, and then I'm looking out in the buggy and worrying about this and that, and it was really kind of hard times. But there was a spirit of Americanism, patriotism, and my generation probably really has that. And you know, some of the wonderful things that happened, like in college, when I was in college, it was considered, you know, rather a poor college. I mean, people there didn't have money, but we had Wesleyan University that had a lot of money, and they had their fraternity houses and all of that, and we could get some of the guys. I dated some of those fellas, but the other was very wonderful because we had a co-op ticket for $1.50, and we would then have all these big name bands come in once a month, and during the homecoming, we'd have two bands and big bands. I'm talking all of those, Jimmy Dorsey, all the best bands there were. So dancing was just wonderful, and I loved it, and that was. I don't think today's children have as good a time as we did, and but I really had to work hard for a long time, and then it kind of broke down on my legs and stuff, and had to quit some of the stuff that I was doing. I think I retired maybe too early, only because of the environment of my office. They didn't have very good environmental situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still interpret some. I go out to companies that have employed deaf, and when they have meetings or training. So when I was in Washington, I worked at the Washington Power Supply System, and in human resources, and most of the time they wanted to learn some sign language. So sign languages will always be with me. I still have a lot of students that I see, and they come and visit me. I got a chance to go to Colombia, to Bogota with one of my students, and the family invited us. Very wonderful experience, wonderful family.
That reminds me of your other travels. You want to say anything about any of your other travels?
Yes, I went on 2 cruises, 10 cruises altogether. Gone to Greece a couple times, and did the Grecian islands, and went to all through Europe, down to and Venice a couple times, and I loved it there, and Rome, of course, and I didn't ever get to the Orient, but I went and studied Spanish in Spain for 5 weeks, and in Salamanca, University of Salamanca. That was interesting, and but I really never learned it. So it was just too difficult, I guess. But then I went. I have not really traveled out of the country since age 6. It's kind of difficult to travel for such long times. So that part is kind of over. But and I interpreted in courts. That was my first interpreting experiences. And I did LA County, I did Orange County, and I did over 500 cases, and some were murder cases, very interesting, and motorcycle gangs that shot and killed each other. It was 2 of them against each other, and it went on for 11 months. But when I worked for Stouffer's, they let me go out whenever they gave me a call to come to interpret. and they wrote it up in their paper as my moonlight job, but they were very good about it, and they were very proud of that. And also, when I worked at the school, my boss said I could go out and interpret too, and I became like a center where deaf could come in and have me make phone calls and help them out. Today they have some other agencies that do it, but at that time there wasn't anybody. My boss was very kind to let me do those kind of things. The interpreting in court was so fascinating, but today I don't want to do it. It's very emotional because I would listen to other cases too, and some of them were really exciting. Like one time, a man had been shot in 7-Eleven by a deaf person. Well, they had him incarcerated, but three of them had been in on it, and the only one was going to get punished. But he was in the hospital, and so they decided that they would bring the judge and everybody right into the hospital with him and some others, the two other fellas, so that they could see which one did it, because he was admitting it, that they still wanted to see. But he had the thongs on, and when the man was lying in bed and they crossed his legs, because they said which one did it, because at first he said the wrong one, and he was completely different. He was a blonde instead of a dark-haired one. But then he changed it when they crossed the legs and they could see it, and he could see that was the jail attire. But before he had to go into that room, they brought him in shackles and everything, and they said to me to tell him, now we're going to have to undo you, and we don't want you to run. And I said, you're not going to run. And okay, he promised, of course, he wasn't going to do it, but they had to say that. So then they took him in, and then he finally got through that, and because it was attempted murder rather than, I think he did go to jail for a while, but not too long. But he ended up okay. He got a good job and very well, and stayed away from these other boys. And now with all the experiences and all the things I've gone through and all the moving around I've done, I'm at peace, and I have loving children. I may not see them as much as I'd like, maybe, but and the grandchildren. I have 8 grandchildren, and I have 2 great-grandchildren, and it's a good life, and I think that God has helped me all through it, and I totally depend on Him. As I age now, people are so fearful, and I have no fears, and I know that I will be taken care of when the time comes, whatever way that will be. Whether, people are scared, they go out and buy all this insurance and all this stuff, and I'm not. I'm just going along, and I know that it'll all work out, whatever way I get. I've had open heart surgery, I've had carotid artery surgery, and I just will, I'm doing fine. It's been 2 weeks since I had the surgery, so some days I get tired. And I find I love to be with my family, and we chose to have this wonderful time together, and I think that has been such a blessing, and I do feel very, very loved by my family, and I thank God for everything.
Vamos a caminar un poquito.
¿Quiere caminar? Dele, bien.
Señora, aguanta todo fresquito. Se coordina que hay camarón, señora, se coordina camarones, señora. Llevará los huevos, 15 huevos, 23,000. Los 15 huevos, 23,000 son de señor.
equator.
Hey, what are you filming?
The equator.
What?
The equator.
The equator. I would like to film you in it.
Okay. There he is. Where are you now? Where's your right foot? Huh? Where is it?
North.
Huh?
North.
In the north.
In north and south.
Actually, your right foot is in the south.
That's the north.
No, that's your left.
Right foot.
Yeah. Right?
My right foot.
I meant your right.
My foot is on your right.
That's right. Not quite. Okay.
Look at those clouds too.
Okay. He wants to film clouds. Who's there? He wanted to be filmed, so here he is. Where are you now, David?
Still on the equator.
Huh?
We're still on the equator.
Yes, but you're on top of the monument
We're
now,
on
aren't you?
Top of the middle of the world.
Right. Now, why don't you wave? Okay. So another one last look at this place.
Down 300 years ago. It took almost 100 years to make this. This is a style, Moorish style. Only more different.
The central square, right? Plaza de Armas.
Plaza de la Independencia.
A ver los chupetes, a mí los chupetes.
Picture. Huh? Would you like? Alright, we're going to your wedding.
On the southern coast of Santa Cruz, we'll get to Puerto Yora, and then we will cross the bay, Margarita Bay, in order to get to the Atlanta Bay. lot of cactus also. Those are the prickly pear cactus. Prickly pear.
Very natural. It doesn't look as it was, eh? Went to the island. James Island. And here is our Patrick and George. Like the old man. Right from him, stay away.
That is our boat over there. The dolphin too. No, that's not ours.
It's not ours. I think ours is over there. Ja, da die Fernlandstrände hinten.
That's ours. That looks like the dolphin too, but nobody knows surely.